Hello you, and welcome to Overgrowth Weekly 49. Today is November 20th, 2011. Man, I still have trouble with those dates, man. I'm Silverfish, and here today is not Anton, unfortunately, but instead, I guess, we have Aubrey here.
Howdy, everyone.
So, Aubrey, can you just quickly introduce yourself?
I am the artist for Overgrowth, and I do basically all of the major game art. So I do the 3D models and the concept art, and I've also been working on the comic here and there.
Okay, cool. And we're going to have an interview with you at the end of the show, so you guys should stay tuned for that. But let's move on. Let's move on into the show. And there you have that. The agenda, as you can see, is quite short today, but I assure you there's a lot of fan art to cover, and of course we have the interview at the end, so I think it's going to be quite good anyways. As usual, we're going to start out with the weekly Alpha 157 this week. Oh, and before I move on, I of course need to activate these checkboxes by learn_more. Thanks again for those. So we have these fancy checkboxes here. They're so cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. So, as I was saying, Alpha 157, this week's Alpha. This week was another week that didn't have a lot of very visual progress in it, but it did add some hotspot stuff that should be really cool for scripters. Let me activate the checkboxes here as well. Ah, yeah. Okay, first we have separated hotspot scripts from level script. Yeah, you now can have hotspot scripts from the level script. Yeah, you can have hotspot scripts outside of the level scripts. Can you elaborate on that, perhaps?
Yeah, one of the issues that we were having is just the usability of custom scripts as they were, which was to say they weren't very usable. They were really hard to code. I took a stab at it, but David was basically like, well, we can do a few things and make the whole system work better. So
okay. So it's the goal.
So part of that is separating them out and just making it all modular.
Yeah, that sounds good. That's something that have been. It feels like it's been a goal for you guys to have it being as modular as possible, because it's easier to support mods, etc.
Right. Well,
yeah.
I mean, for a long time, without any scripting system, it's very hard to make the game feel like a game. And a lot of the stuff is pretty basic, like text. You want to be able to communicate information to the player. And without scripts, it's hard to do that.
Yeah, very true. So cool. So that's the separated hotspot scripts. Oh man, me talking today. Next we have added a display text, so hotspots can display messages as you just said. It should be an easy-to-use interface, I guess, for scripters. And,
yeah, that's going to be really cool, I think. I'm looking forward to using it more.
Yeah, as you were saying, it's communicating stuff to the player. Now we won't have to make like in-game signs. We can just have text display. You can do a lot of stuff actually with just text if you're doing mods.
Yeah, it's it's kind of a baby step towards having a more complete game design, but at least we can put text in saying, okay, well, this is what you're supposed to do. This area is supposed to have this or that. So that players who pick up the game for the first time don't have to wonder what's going on. You can actually just tell them.
Yeah. That too. But do you think you'll be using this for the final game?
Probably not. But it's in the interim. It's going to be really useful. And the text scripts are just one example of what the scripting system can do. It was a basic one that we wanted to get in sooner rather than later, just so that we can start prototyping gameplay.
Cool. Okay, next we have changed hotspot collision to work precisely with the bounding box. And this was something that I was kind of let down with the last change to the hotspots, because I thought that that update would actually make it so that we could change the bounding box and stuff, but we couldn't, and now we can. So that's great. You kind of saw it in the video there where he places the hotspot and then he resizes it. You couldn't do that before, but every hotspot had its own active area that was like 2 times 2 meters or something, 2 times 2 times 2 meters or something like that.
Right. So yeah, this is kind of a critical feature. Like a lot of people have asked us, you know, how are you going to keep people off the edge of the map? This makes it possible. Even I don't think we'll use this system, but if we wanted to, we could, where you could just put walls up that would say, "Oh, you're leaving the level," and then if they keep going, put another trigger up to reset the level.
Yeah, and another good, like David says in the video as well, it's these hotspot things are very good for prototyping things like that. See how they work in actual gameplay. So that's great. It's a great change. Next we have fixed missing Steam app ID in installer. Do you know more closely what this is about?
I don't know exactly what that is, but they've been working towards allowing Steam a Steam release, and I don't think it's going to be a huge deal to people who aren't pre-orderers, but it should be pretty neat to everybody who is a pre-orderer and who uses Steam. So yeah, I think that's making good progress. I have not personally been able to test anything, but my understanding is that it's getting close.
Nice. That's good to hear. So looking forward to that for sure. Okay, so next we have progress towards Linux Alpha, and there is not a whole lot to show there. We showed last week that screenshot. I might be able to dig it up real quick here again. There you go. This screenshot we showed last week of the of Overgrowth running in Linux, kinda. It's kind of not running already, but it has the loading screen at least, which is progress. And more than that, we actually don't know at this point.
Yeah, I'm not. I think you guys know about as much about that as I do, but it's really exciting to me to finally be getting the Linux version. That's always been kind of an important goal for us. So, I mean, because of various setbacks, we haven't been able to realize it, but it wasn't because we weren't trying or because we didn't think it was important. It's just been kind of frustrating.
Yeah. But it's really good that you are actually making a Linux version. A lot of people appreciate it, I'm sure. I appreciate it, and I don't even use Linux. I think I said this last week. I like Linux, and I would use it, but since I like gaming, I kind of would feel very, very handicapped if I did use Linux.
Right.
I have tried, though.
I feel the same way. I've always kind of wanted to run a Linux box, but a lot of the specific tools that I use, which I think are very good, and also they're the only, I mean, like, it would be hard to learn new tools, so it would be a pretty big issue if I tried to switch to Linux.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, but that's good. So it's good. I mean, more software on Linux means that there is bigger chance of more software getting ported to Linux. Is kind of a yeah. The more software that's available on Linux gives it more users, which gives more software, etc. So it's a good circle, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I'm really proud of what the whole Humble Indie bundle has done for that whole situation. Even though I haven't been working on any of the important parts of that.
Well, the art is quite important.
I suppose I've done the icons and stuff, so.
Yeah. That's cool anyways. Linux, nice. Next we have script GUI windows fade in and out smoothly. Yeah. They used to pop in all the windows you see. I guess this is for the whole UI, am I right?
I think so.
But now instead of popping in when they've loaded, they will fade in, which is always nice.
Yeah, I think in some situations they would weirdly glitch out on some hardware and just look weird for a second. But I think that might be fixed now. I'm not totally sure about that, but I haven't seen it in a while.
That's actually the next point, saying Osmium views only display after texture is processed, and in parentheses it says no garbage.
Yeah.
And that was the garbage being displayed. I had that error as well, where when you open the dialogue for the first time, it would have kind of green lines or like a red box and stuff like that for like one frame, and then it would be gone.
Yeah.
It's just a nice, like, I didn't mind it at all, but it's still cool to see it fixed though.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of polish level stuff is important, I think, in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. They're definitely important in the long run. But at the same time, since it's an alpha, I don't really care too much.
Right.
Maybe that's just me though, but I don't know. Well, anyways, next we have fixed projected shadows on surfaces without baked shadows. You probably know more about this than I do, so...
Fixed projected shadows on surfaces without baked shadows. Yeah, I have not tested that much. I'm not exactly sure what that means, to be totally honest.
I think the projected shadows are the shadows from characters and stuff like that. And the baked shadows are the shadows that are static and actually compiled into the level. And
So yeah, some weirdness. Sometimes I would get random shadows before I did a bake, so maybe that's what the deal was.
Yeah, that's possible. I can't recall any error like this either that I have encountered, but I sure don't encounter all errors. I mean, these alphas are very stable actually, so...
Yeah, David has aggressively been bug fixing recently, and a lot of the stuff in terms of like over the last couple of weeks in terms of fixing basic usability for the editor has been great. Like there's been a lot of issues that have been worked out over the last few weeks that I'm extremely happy about. But they don't make the flashiest update videos, unfortunately.
Yeah, but as you said, yeah, they're very important. Yeah. Okay. But that's the end of the changelog for this week. As I said, not really a whole lot to show off, since there were, the hotspot stuff, which is of course important, but yeah. Anyways, hopefully we'll see some more show-offy stuff next week though, or the week after that, we'll see.
Yeah, I think the next thing is more scripting stuff, so... I think it'll be cool.
Yeah, I mean, it should be nice. Everything's important. I mean, I think like this, the more mundane stuff that he adds to the alphas, that just builds up to even more awesome stuff that we can get later.
Yeah, I think the thing about the scripting system is that it's going to be a lot more impressive when people actually start using it, because... you can see a couple of examples and it's like, that's not that big of a deal. But when you actually are trying to build a level, it makes a huge difference. So hopefully we'll see user videos and stuff that include this functionality that he's going to be adding.
Yeah. And we actually have, a couple of tweets at the end that cover, I guess, a few things that he will be in the next week's alpha. So that's going to be cool. Okay, but that's the this week's weekly alpha. We're of course going to keep covering the weekly alphas, but until the next alpha, we're going to take a look at the community segment where we start off, and this is actually the only item in the community segment for this week, the fan art watch.
This is always one of my favorite segments.
Yeah, me too. It's great. Okay, let's dive in. Fan art, there we go. Okay, first we have this image right here, created by Shiny Gem. The title for this image is Kitty Cat. He writes, "Hey people, I'm new here to the Overgrowth community and I was watching the last OG Weekly. Well, they asked for more fan art and a bat, cough. I'm not the best artist around and I need something other than my digital cam to upload stuff, cough." I don't know why he's coughing, but I guess he's got a cold or something. But here they are. So yeah, here we have the kitty cat. I really like his naming conventions on these, by the way.
I think that this image has really strong forms in terms of like the ears and the head anatomy. It looks really solid.
Yeah, I agree. The lines look like they're drawn with intention, if that makes sense.
They look really clean.
Yeah, that's really nice. Yeah, it's a nice image in general. What's so cool about these images is that he's actually drawing on paper. I would never be able to draw an image like this on paper. I can tell you that.
Yeah, and I think the whole design is kind of cool too. You know, you have like a traveler here, has his little rucksack, and it's kind of tied up with this rope. It's an interesting design.
Yeah, it's nice. We have actually a lot of pieces from Mr. Shiny Gem. So let's move on to the next one. Here was the kitty cat by Shiny Gem, and next we have the Batty Bat by the same guy. So it's an well, I don't know how anthropomorphic it actually is. It looks very, very much like a bat, though.
Yeah, this is I mean, one of the basic ideas behind Overgrowth that we've been using as a guideline for a while is that mammals can be anthropomorphized, while other animals will just be their normal versions. And so this is kind of an interesting extension of that idea.
Yeah. Someone says below that birds are not anthropomorphic in the universe, but mammals are, and bats are technically mammals. So I guess bats, like you say, kind of stretch the boundaries. You were like, no anthropomorphic birds, and he was like, bats.
Part of the appeal of the Overgrowth universe, I think, is that it's a very natural type environment. So obviously, if you anthropomorphize every animal, then there's not going to be any normal animals.
Yeah.
And Lugaro kind of set the precedent with the birds being just normal birds.
Yeah, exactly. There's that eagle flying above the levels.
Yeah.
I always liked that eagle. I would watch that eagle. He's nice.
So this would be a pretty interesting character to play. I guess it would be extremely fragile, but could swoop in and stealth kill people.
Yeah, I playing as a bat would be so rad. That would be totally cool. Like, I can just imagine. Of course, the rabbits can jump high, etc. I mean, that's cool and all, but being able to at least, I guess flying would be kind of a bit overpowered, but at least floating or soaring.
Gliding,
yes, gliding, thanks. Gliding from building to building would be really nice. Yeah, so this is the Batty Bat by Shiny Gem. Nice job. Next we have...
That's cool.
Yeah, next we have a really, really cool image by Robin X. And there you have that. He says, so here is my one. Don't expect something good. I made it, I was bored. I quite like the result, but the fur looks terrible.
I like that everything's recognizable here.
Yeah.
It's clearly the red shards, and it's Turner beating up a wolf.
Yeah. It's really great. That's what I like about it as well. It's so clear. There's something that actually is... that attracts me to this image. I actually really like this image for some reason. Like, I don't really like it, but I genuinely like it, I should say.
Right. It makes me smile when I see it.
Yeah. It's cool.
And it's iconic, but very, like, because it's iconic, it's very easy to read.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Overgrowth is about. It's Turner kicking a wolf on the Red Shards map. That's Overgrowth for you right there in a nutshell. So that one made by Robin X. Nice job. Next we have... let's see, who made this? Another image by Shiny Gem, of course.
Oh, that's just cool to get some pencil shading in here.
Yeah, so we have this rat right here. As you said, pencil shading. It's taken his previous images to the next level, I think. He's got the fur in, he's got the texture on the tail in and all that, so yeah, this is really nice.
Some of the treatment on the surfaces is pretty sophisticated. Like the reflection and highlights on the tail and the blade look really good.
Yeah.
Overall, the shading is pretty solid. You can read all of the shapes very well.
Yeah, I agree. I guess there could be... It's a bit inconsistent almost. I mean, the shading on his right arm is very dark, while there is almost no shading on the back of his head, for instance. Those are small things that I think could be improved. But in general, like as I said before, drawing with a pencil and paper is harder than drawing on a computer to start with, like I usually do.
Yeah, it's certainly a lot less forgiving, especially when you're penciling something that you've already inked. If you make a mistake or something, it's really hard to recover from that. But yeah, I think this is pretty solid.
Yeah, it's nice. So that one, once again, it's this one was actually called She-Rat, and it was made by Shiny Gem. Next, we have another image by the same person. It's Shiny Gem once again with his beach bunny. Yeah, let's see. He writes... So, a beach bunny. I'm quite happy with this one, aside from the blasted legs. Either one is too short or one is too long. Take your pick.
This is a tricky perspective.
Yeah, it is. And but this picture in general, I really like the picture. The thing that really annoys me about it, I guess you could say, is like someone mentions below that the legs aren't actually just off. It's that he has feet, so he has too many joints.
Right, one too many joints.
Which is too bad because the image in general is very, very well done.
Right. Yeah, I agree. It's but yeah, I'm not even sure how I would treat this kind of pose for one of the characters. It might not look very natural with the way that we have the characters in the game now, but because their feet are really big and their toes are kind of like articulated like their feet, so yeah, it's a tough image.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think apart from the legs, it's really, really great.
Yeah.
Okay, next we have another image. So I should probably say that this was the Beach Bunny by Shiny Gem. Next we have Doggy Dog by Shiny Gem. So here we have a dog with his eyes closed, with a huge hammer, standing around.
Yeah, I think this is so as the artist for Overgrowth, I think this is a really interesting image because like the bright colors to me make me think of the cats, and I think in the game you're going to have a lot of dogs that are kind of dressed up in cat colors because they're employees or mercenaries for cats. So I think we might actually get to see a character that looks kind of like this. Also, the huge hammer is pretty consistent with what I think of for the dogs, of having some big blunt giant weapon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is... I really like this image. In general, it's just nice. I like the color combinations, and I like his shorts for some reason.
I think the leg anatomy could be improved again, but the upper body, the more humanoid parts, are really spot on.
Yeah, it's like in general, it's very, very nice. His elbows, how he has the fur on the elbows, looks really nice as well.
Yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah, so nice job. Nice job.
Yeah, this is great work.
So that was Doggy Dog by Shiny Gem once again. And next we have, well, take a guess, I guess. It's another image by Shiny Gem. It's the Ratty Rat. Again, I like his naming conventions here. Okay, so he says, the main on this one was trying to convey the fur using only colors. Turned out okay on the arms, legs and neck. Face and ears I'm not happy about. Still, ugly fur is better than no fur. I tried adding more complexity to the texture. I'm not sure if I achieved it, but there. And out goes the wheel of cheese. It's a moon emblem now. Isn't the moon made of cheese anyway? And this is actually, yeah, this is a coloring of an image that he posted earlier, and his intentions earlier was to have the cheese, the moon on his shirt be a cheese emblem, but he turned it into a moon because he thought it looked more like a moon.
Yeah, again, I think this really fits the look of the game. It's always really exciting to me to see fan art that I feel really like gets the basic design elements that we're going for. So again, you could very well see a character that looks a lot like this in the game.
Nice, that's cool. I like a lot of stuff about this, and my favorite race in Overgrowth are actually the rats. So of course that gives it gives it a plus to me. And in general, this image is just badass. I think the anatomy in general is pretty good.
Yeah.
And it's just a nice character.
Yeah, the dual wielding I think is really cool, and hopefully we'll have that feature before too long. Well, I mean, some of the first weapons I designed for the game were designed to be dual wielded like this.
Yeah. Wow, dual wielding in Overgrowth. I don't think I've even thought about that.
Well, like with this kind of loadout, you have one weapon that's kind of your primary one, and although this isn't exactly like what I had in mind, but the offhand weapon in Overgrowth is probably going to be mostly used for defense.
Okay. So maybe some kind of shield-like system then, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe a buckler, but also there's like special weapons that are designed for parrying, like a parrying sword.
Yeah.
Parrying dagger. So.
Okay, cool.
But I don't think I wouldn't rule out being able to dual wield 2 offensive weapons.
That's awesome. Okay, so it's confirmed, guys. You heard it here first, I guess. Because I haven't heard it before. Dual wielding. That's going to be great. Okay. Here we have, once again, Red Rat by Shiny Gem. Next, we have a turn of events. It's Adwuga who drew this image. Let's see what he writes. He says, being a better artist than everyone else here, / sarcasm, I thought I would post my best piece.
So my favorite part about this image is the Crete ruin in the background. I think that looks really neat. Of course you have the characters and those are the violence. I think it's a pretty good reflection of what Overgrowth is going to be about.
Yeah, it's really nice. I personally like the smiling mask. It's cool. Actually, we should probably tell the whole story here because he wrote like a small story to go with this. It's not too long, but I'm going to read it for you guys. Okay, in case you're wondering, the rabbit is actually a cat with a very flat rabbit mask on, which doubles as a helmet. That is the ghost of Napoleon, whose spirit lingered in a French pastry for however long it took to get to the point of anthropomorphic mammals in evolution, until it was released by an enraged wolf, chasing an eagle who kept on pooping on him, stepping on the pastry, shattering the E4O bond holding his spirit to the pastry. Holding the cat's sword, which had some ethereal glue, and then in parentheses it says C4E602 stuck on it, allows the ghost to hold it. And the green things are soul fruit, and they are apparently HO2CCE6H2CEHOE3HCO2H. And
it's nice to know the chemical composition.
Yeah, it's nice. I wonder what that actually
corresponds to.
Yeah. And the large structure in the back holds no significance. This just was done in paint.
It's cool.
And edit too. Wow, just noticed how wrong those shadows are.
I like that idea, soul fruit.
Yeah. That's cool. It's quite out there, though.
I don't think we will feature the Ghost of Napoleon in the game.
What? He should be the main character. What is this? I guess that'll have to be a community mod for later then.
Sounds good.
Which should also include rabbit mask helmets. It's going to be great. So yeah, that image and that story by Adwoga, that's actually pretty well done, I have to say. Okay, so next up we have this. It's kind of a comic strip, I guess you could call it. He posted this earlier and then he posted it again with this nice shading and all that stuff. And he writes, "Here, I hope the shadowing is fine. I had a files mishap. I'm still flipping angry at myself, but now the only thing left is adding in the story." In quotes. My idea goes like this. Batman sits thoughtfully on a building above Growth City. Batman appears and kicks Batman's ass. This might be confusing, but Batman is the actual bat, and Batman is the dude, person. Okay, so Batman appears and kicks Batman's ass. The end.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear even without the text.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. And it's entertaining.
Yeah.
I especially like the final image. It really sells the point.
Yeah, I agree. It's like I said, it sells the point. It's really great. In general, it's a nice comic. I kinda almost liked the previous image more, if I'm to be honest. Without the shading, it looks more comic-like, more fitting. Let's switch to that so you can see what I'm talking about. It's this image here. I think the shading almost was unfitting for a comic.
Yeah, it's a little bit... this is a little bit cleaner.
Yeah. I like the clean one more, actually. But I guess that's a matter of taste, though, of course, but... Yeah. And now Can I... What is this?
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Oh.
I'm trying to get the... There we go. I think there are too many images here today, so it's passing out for some reason. But yeah, that image made by Shiny Gem. Yeah, Shiny Gem. I wonder how many images he posted today. I think there were 8 images from him today so far.
That's a lot.
In total,
yeah.
I mean. But next up we have an image that's not by Shiny Gem. This one is made by Hunting Dog. He says, "This is a wolf variant I made. Just to let you know, the brown thing he's holding is a flask of alcohol of some kind." Enough said. Random.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. It's like he's got his booze there. For the wolves in Overgrowth, I don't think they will wear furs, but there's always exceptions.
Yeah, this guy almost looks like... That was my first reaction as well. I was like, no, he can't wear clothes. That's anti-wolf. It's just not how it works. But then I got over that phase, and now I think he looks like an awesome brawler in general.
Yeah, he looks like a cool character. And it'd be neat to have a character like this. I mean, obviously, like if a wolf lived like deep in the Arctic Circle or something where it's super duper cold, they might wear furs. Just out of necessity. So it's not outside the realm of possibility.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, that image made by Hunting Dog. Very nice work. Next, we have this image. It's a... let's see. What is this?
Seems to be a camel man.
Yeah, one-humped camel man. There you go, man.
That is an interesting design. I like the silhouette. In traditional game design, concept design, a lot of effort is put into making the silhouette quote-unquote readable. So in terms of having a readable silhouette, this one is pretty amazing.
Yeah, it looks almost scary in some way, this character,
Yeah.
because it looks very much like a human on the body, and then the head is like, what, camel?
I think that the camels actually have like genuinely reverse joint legs. So that might be my only critique. There's not a lot of animals, I don't think, that have weird a legs as a camel does. But I'd actually have to look at reference photos to confirm that.
Yeah, I have no idea actually. But like this image in general, it's really cool. Like I said, the readable silhouettes, taken on the project of making a character like this at all in the first place is and actually managing to make a character out of a camel, an anthropomorphic camel. That's quite the feat right there.
Yeah, it would be interesting to try to tone it down to make it look more like it could fit into the game world. But I think the general approach is really interesting.
We need a horseman in Overgrowth.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that too.
Oh yeah, that's your next assignments, guys. Make horsemen. Man, we should have that every week. We should give people assignments. It's cool. Okay, but yeah, image made by Shiny Gem. Once again, that's the 8th and the last image for this week by Shiny Gem. So,
nice effort.
Yeah, really nice work.
It's really awesome to see people making fan art. It's always really inspiring to me.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of my greatest sources of inspiration. I always feel like I want to draw when I look at this thread.
Yeah.
It's really great. And then we have a last minute image, actually, of course, posted 14 minutes ago when I opened this thread by Confused. I'm going to read here before I go into bigger mode. He says, always late, but just in time. I felt bad for missing Overgrowth Weekly last time, so I decided to make up for it. Even though it's not really art, I am still a fan, so here's a pain-kicking Turner I made with Inkscape in a minimalistic wallpaper style. I wanted to add some comic-like lines to emphasize the kick momentum, but I could not nail it. Also, I want to thank you others real artists for posting interesting stuff every week. Really impressive and creative stuff. I think this is real.
That's a great message. Yeah, looks really cool. I really love the high contrast look of it, and especially since it's so high contrast and yet clearly readable.
Yeah,
and it's a really challenging pose. The perspective is really solid, so you've got the foreshortening here, and it looks very accurate. And the kick is basically the kick from the game.
Yeah, I think he actually took an image from the game and then drew over it, or...
Yeah, could be. It looks really good.
Yeah, if it isn't, then that's amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Either
really
way,
nice
it's
work.
cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's nice. Made by Confused 14 minutes ago. This is a live show, people. I'm going to press refresh now. Maybe there's another one. No? Okay.
Oh.
So nice job by everyone. A lot of fun this week. We're already 40 minutes into the show. We should probably get moving. Holy moly. Okay. And that brings us out of the community segment and into the community side note segment. That it's kind of like the community segment, but we take it a bit faster, or try to.
Alrighty.
And here we have Last's Blood plus No Death mod that he updates for every week. So this week, this mod makes it so that you can you get more blood in the game, and you can make it so that you do not die in the game.
It's really awesome how Last has kept us up to date.
Yeah, it's really amazing. We've said like a gazillion times here, but it's still true. So yeah, go get it if you need blood. I don't know why you would not need blood.
Yeah, I think a lot of people find the mod entertaining.
Yes, I think so too. It's really great. Okay, next we have... Let's actually do that first. Okay, next we have the news segment. we'll take a look at what's new, and we have 2 tweets here. First, we have hotspot level transition. That sounds exciting already there. He writes, hotspots should be able to load levels now, so they could be used to link multiple levels into a chain.
So yeah, this is another thing that clearly makes the game more game-like. When, in a sense, it makes the levels more linear, but in a very controllable way. So you can have, a really big seeming environment that's kind of 3 or 4 chained levels together. Of course, the load times in between each level might be a little annoying if the gameplay in each section is short, but I think it'll be useful.
But if you think about it, if the gameplay in each section is short, then you maybe shouldn't have split it up into several levels in the first place.
Yeah. So that's a good point of having like a hub system too. So that would be a possible use for it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you really could do your whole open world mod if you wanted to, where if you get near the edge of the level, it just loads the next level that's in the adjacent spot, and then you can move back and forth if you're willing to put up with the load times.
Yeah. I was just thinking that that's Anton's main menu mod 2.0 right there. Having like an actual hub where you run around and can look at like screenshots hanging on the walls and stuff for the levels, and then you just enter the gate and it loads the level for you.
That would be cool.
Yeah, but like level transitions in general is something that people have been asking for a lot, and yeah, I'm excited to see what people will be able to do with this.
Yeah, me too.
So that's really cool. Okay, next we have another tweet. Arbitrary object parameters. I'm actually not entirely sure what this is about, but let's read this. Working on arbitrary parameters for objects so that the same script can have different behaviors for different objects.
So I've seen this in the game, and I've messed around with it very briefly, and I'm not exactly sure what it does, but I think it's probably going to be really awesome when it's done. So I don't want to speculate too much since I don't totally understand how it works, but I think you'll be able to basically pass information between scripts and have it do really complex behavior. That's what I'm predicting.
So, yeah. I don't even want to guess either because I just make a fool of myself. But, yeah.
I mean, for one thing, like from this tweet, it just seems to imply that the script is going to behave differently if the player walks into it as opposed to like an NPC.
Okay.
So I'm sure we'll have support for something like that.
Cool. Nice. Okay, but we'll obviously see
Still,
more of this in the future.
It's speculation. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put too much weight on my interpretation of that.
Yeah, we will surely see this actually happening soon, I hope.
Yeah,
Since
very
he
soon.
said he was working on it, we will probably see it in the next alpha even. Okay, so that's that tweet. Nice stuff, and that's the end of the news segment. Shortest news segment ever. And this would ordinarily be the end of the show, but since we have Mr. Aubrey here, we're instead going to have a wee little interview.
We'll see how this goes.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be great, man. Okay, so I'm just going to start this little thing right here. Bloop, images. There you go. Okay, so I guess first we start off with some basic stuff, so we can know who you are a bit more. So if you could tell us how old you are, where you're from, and once again what you do.
I am Aubrey Serr. I am 32 years old, and I come from the United States. I've lived a bunch of places west of the Mississippi. Right now I'm living in Norman, Oklahoma.
Okay, cool.
And I do the art for Overgrowth and for the comic.
Nice. All right, so like going back, how did you actually start out drawing to begin with?
So I've been drawing more or less since I was a child, and I wasn't particularly good at it, but maybe I was better than my peers. And that's a pretty big motivation when you're a kid, I think. You just like, I'm better than the people I know at something. So it was really encouraging to me, and I just kind of kept at it. But it was really hard for me to imagine making a career out of making art. It just seemed really unrealistic. So I went to college and I got a degree in economics, and wasn't really able to find a job in that. So I ended up doing contract art on the side, and that kind of became my full-time job.
Cool. So you talked a bit about your education there, and then the doing works on the side. Can you tell us a bit about what you have been actually doing before you came to Wolfire?
I worked on some iPhone games for a company called Freeverse. One of them was a launch title, probably the best known one. I think it's currently called Moto Chaser. They had to change the name at some point for legal reasons. And I did most of the art for that. I worked on the Xbox Live Arcade port of Marathon to Randall. I worked a little bit for David back when we were still calling Overgrowth Lugaroo 2, way back when. And besides that, I also got a job doing level design for a game called Darkest of Days, and put together a bunch of levels for that. Even though at the time I wasn't really very skilled at level design, I felt like I learned a lot, and certainly anxious to test out some ideas for Overgrowth in terms of professional level design. So that's my professional background, I guess. But I've always wanted to do, even when I worked for on Darkest of Days, that was a relatively small team. I think at its height, it probably had maybe 20 people, including managers and contractors and whatnot. And so it was a very small team by game development standards. Most of the other stuff I worked on, there've been one or two artists. So I like working on indie projects where I have a lot of influence in and control over my work.
Yeah, that's cool. Do you, like, I guess a lot of people, obviously we have the fan art forums and stuff like that, and in general some of the blog posts earlier, like, we've had a lot of people in the community that are actually pretty good at art and interested in art, including me. So yeah, since you are actually in the industry now, technically, right, for a while at least, how would you say, if you would give tips to how to actually get into the industry and start earning money off of your work, what would you give for tips?
One of the things that was the most critical for me was I started checking out this online community called Polycount, and that's where I learned how to do most of my 3D art. And it's kind of, I don't know, the community has a lot of tough love where you face harsh criticisms, but getting your art out in front of other people is really, really critical. And I think that's probably the single most important thing. Get your art out in front of people. Don't take critiques too seriously, and just work on your craft. Try to make your art as good as possible. And give other people feedback, because one of the things that's interesting is that over the last, 10 years or so that I've been attempting to make video games, a lot of the people that I started out, we were all just trying to learn how to make games together. Now, a lot of those people are professionals and are very good at what they do. So they're great people to know. And we still help each other out. Mm. So I think a lot of people, they might come to an online community or see a person, that's whose art they admire, and say, "Oh, I wish I was that person." But if I can get to know that person, then I'll have a way into the industry. But it's really a lot more important to get to know the people who are at your same skill level, and to help each other become better artists, because that forms a bond that is really important.
Yeah, I guess trying to get to learn like a person that's already good, it has to be mutual, that you both have to be able to give something to one another, I guess.
Right. It's just I mean, I try to help people out as much as I can and give good feedback, but when it comes right down to it, I'm very busy making art for Overgrowth, and I just don't have the same amount of time that I used to have to devote to helping people out in the community.
Yeah. But when it comes to as you were talking about good artists, I guess you have had your guys that you have been inspired by, people that you look up to and whose art you like especially much.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to pick out an individual person whose art that I really like, just think is the end all be all. But I've looked at a lot of different kinds of art that I find inspirational. If I had to pick one artist, I really like H.R. Giger. It's not really in the same style as Overgrowth, but I think that he's probably one of the more important living artists. Of course, classical art from Rembrandt is one of my favorite painters. I think especially in person, his paintings are amazing. Mm-hmm. And a lot of I think it's Sid Mead, the guy who did the designs for Blade Runner and whatnot, is a big inspiration. So as you get more into modern concept art for games, I find those less inspirational because they always seem to be kind of in the same style. And what I like about a lot of the other art is that it's really good, but in its own style. So I try not to follow trends in game design concept art too closely. I'm always trying to learn, but it's really easy to kind of get stuck just following a trend.
Yeah. Do you feel like you have your own style, or have you kind of looked at other people's drawings and kind of taken things and made your own out of that, or?
I think that I certainly tried to do that early on, but what happens is that you start to find after a while that even if you try to copy other people, you can't. And the difference between what you do and when you try to copy a person and what that person's actual output is that's your style, right? Like you can't really get rid of your own personal style. And so I've tried a lot of different things. The other part of personal style is you make stuff and you're like, oh, I kind of like that, but then you kind of miss making art a certain way. So I've certainly come into that a number of times. Like recently I was trying to use the texture brushes, and it's like there's some things that I really liked about that, but I don't know if I'm going to continue working that way because I just don't find it quite as satisfying. But I might introduce aspects of what I've learned into my personal style.
Yeah, I guess it's always important to try new things and always learn and get better.
I think that that's the main thing as an artist, is always try to get better. Always try to produce art. Look at the stuff that you like. Try to emulate what you like. Always put your art out there and try to get feedback.
Cool.
Man, some of this art in the slideshow is really old.
Yeah, it's my concept art folder for Overgrowth. I just threw a bunch of stuff in there. It's fine though. I think I like it.
It's kind of fun to see this really old art. Some of the stuff is like 8 years old or 7 years old.
Wow.
Like this rat hut that's on the screen now.
That's crazy. I didn't know. Wow. Has it been that long, or?
I think some of this is the very first art that I did for David. So it's at least 6 years old.
Huh. Cool. Okay. But anyways, I'm kind of curious about this really isn't related to anything in particular, but how do you actually work best? Like, what's your best working environment? Do you like music or, yeah?
Sometimes I'll listen to music or books on tape. I find that what I listen to doesn't really influence what my ability to work very much, but just drawing or painting, like I tend to get a little bit bored sometimes, so it's good to have like a book on tape, so that because I love to read, and like sometimes I'll want to surf and read the internet instead of work, so it's better if that part of my brain gets occupied by something else.
Okay.
And I like working at home, but I don't know. I could work in an office too. It's nice to be able to take breaks when you feel tired instead of being stuck somewhere. So
how do you feel like that works in general? Because working from home, it can often be,
it's hard.
there are
It takes some discipline.
so.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of distractions, and it takes discipline. But at the same time, the opposite is true. If I feel like working, I can immediately start working and get something done quickly while I feel motivated. Whereas if you're in an office, sometimes you'll just kind of poke and prod at your work for hours and not make any real progress. It's still, I think it's important to have personal discipline when it comes to working at home, and sometimes that's difficult. I mean, I think that's one of the main advantages of going and being in an office, is because even if you don't feel like working, sometimes you can still get some work done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Talking about work, do you think, or what do you think is the most interesting thing about working with Wolfire? Like, I'm guessing you really enjoy working at Wolfire?
Yeah, it's awesome. I really like. It's really a lot of fun. It's awesome to be able to work on my own ideas and to kind of be in charge of my own little domain of things. Although I think for me, currently the most exciting aspect is kind of the non-art type stuff. Like, for example, I was really excited to learn about YouTube and making videos for YouTube, and how all of that works in terms of user views and whatnot, and like how it helps sales. I mean, it sounds kind of lame, but hey, I actually make all the art for the game too, so I don't think it's that lame. I mean, if I was just, I think a lot of indie games fail because they have bad marketing. So, and really games that should succeed. Like, there's really cool games out there that have bad marketing, and they are not as successful as they should be. So to me, I think that's a really interesting aspect of being an indie that you don't usually deal with at all if you're working at a bigger company.
Yeah.
And I like having control over that aspect of like, well, what face do we put forward as a company, right? Because a lot of companies just have some kind of generic front man, and it's boring, and kind of dishonest seeming. So I like to talk to people. I like talking to people in IRC about the game because I think it's important.
Yeah.
It's important to talk to people one-on-one about the game so that they know there's a real human being working on it.
Yeah, and because you can too, because those big companies, often the employees aren't allowed to talk about the game outside.
Right, they're not allowed to talk about it at all. They hire some outside company that then doesn't do any community outreach at all. Like, you'll contract out some advertising firm to handle that stuff for you, and they won't even do a good job.
Yeah.
So
I think what Wolfire and you guys are building here with the community and all that, it's really great. It's actually so much fun to just follow the development of the game, which I think shows because a lot of people who actually pre-ordered the game and come into the pre-order forums are like, I've been following this game for like years. And
right.
Like they wouldn't follow it for years if they didn't find
right, if it was boring.
The game. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. I mean, it's been educational for us how much work it's been to make a video game of the quality that we're dedicated to making. And also, it's just really, like I've said it before, it sounds like a cliche, but like the fans really are one of the most important things about game development, because the people who help us and support us make it possible. And it sounds cheesy, but it's totally true. And I'm kind of torn because on one hand, I want to get as much work done as possible, but on the other hand, I want to interact with those people and let them know that I appreciate everything that they've done to help us out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, starting to wrap this up a little bit, what do you think, personally for yourself? What will you do in the future? What do you think you'll move on to doing?
More games for Overgrowth. I mean, for Wolfire.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have any backup plan at the moment. I think that if we keep at it and make the kind of game we want to make, then people are going to like it, and we'll probably gain more people who appreciate our work. And there's a lot of game ideas that I would like to work on. Both David and I regularly talk about what kind of games we would like to work on after Overgrowth. So I think that's just the plan, and make sweet games.
Awesome. That's great to hear, because I love your art, man.
Thanks.
Okay, so the final question that everyone here gets: if you were a character in the Overgrowth universe, what would you be, and what would you be doing?
That one's tough. Well, it's a little bit boring, but I think I might be a rabbit character, and I would chill in the sun.
Nice.
I mean, wander around in the forest and eat grass, I guess. Little leaves.
Stuff rabbits do, I guess.
The stuff rabbits do.
Nice. Just enjoying life. Cool. So before we go, I guess you have something to show, don't you?
Yeah, I sent some stuff over there, so...
Yeah, let's take a look at... shall we look at the image first?
Yeah, let's look at the painting.
Okay, so this is an image that you sent that I hadn't seen before, and you were relieved to finally have found something.
Yeah, I was digging through my archives. So yeah, this is the sword maker that's going to be in the comic, and you've actually seen him. He was one of the characters in that old concept art that was actually in the slideshow rotation. So same guy.
Is the blacksmith?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's one of my favorite concept arts, actually, and I really like this one as well.
Yeah, so it's meant to be the same guy, and so there's some things that are a little bit loose and about this image a little bit weak, but I think it's cool. I really like just the ambiance. I think I got it pretty close to what I was going for.
Yeah, I think it's really great. And actually that brings me to another question. How much of your stuff do you actually show off to the public?
Almost all of it. For a while I had a backlog of stuff that I hadn't shown anybody, but most of that stuff has been worked through. So I have very little in reserve. I was really happy to find this piece just floating around because it's a pretty high quality. I spent quite a bit of time on it, like most of a day at least. And I was testing out some of those techniques using texture brushes on this. So it's kind of an interesting hybrid between this and the other piece that I did using that technique that I did the time lapse for of Janner on the beach.
Yeah. Yeah, really nice image. And since you talked about, you mentioned the comic before, what's the status on that?
I haven't worked on it in a couple weeks, but there's every once in a while I'll do a little bit. It kind of comes in fits and starts. Like when I get really excited about the comic book, sometimes I'll do a substantial amount of work on it in one sitting. So I'll take 5 or 6 hours and I'll finish a step on like 10 different pages. But the update is really big. So it's slow going. I think at this point the update's going to be about as big as the comic is to this point.
Whoa, that's nice. I'm looking forward to that.
So that's one of the reasons. I mean, like, there were patches in the comic coming to where we are now where it went months without an update. So it was not exactly, fast in terms of getting the comic done. And this is a lot slower. And I really apologize to everybody. But I think that, a lot of the criticisms that I've had from the comic over the years, I've been trying to address them in terms of like just making a better story. So I hope that I can get more feedback in terms of my storytelling ability. I don't think I'm a genius when it comes to that, but more feedback's always better.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm really looking forward to the comic update. I really enjoy the comic, so
yeah, it should be cool.
Nice. Okay, let's move on to the other. Let's move on to the other image. You also have this Raider sculpt.
Yep.
So this is a sculpt of the concept art that you gave to us last week. This is kind of a first we get the concept art and then we get the sculpt.
So yeah, I'm going to have all of the stuff together in a art asset overview, but this is just a little preview of where I'm at on the asset so far. So this is basically the finished version of the high poly sculpt before it gets baked down to the game resolution model. And I think this fits the concept art pretty well. It's a bit lumpy. It's a technical term when your sculpt doesn't look good, but I think that in the actual game it should look fine.
I like that you have a technical term for when your sculpt doesn't look good.
Yeah, I could probably put more work into it and smooth out the lumpiness and make things a little bit more defined. But in the actual game engine, you don't really see it, and it's important just to get stuff finished so that we can move on. You'd rather have like 2, 3 characters that look good rather than 2 characters that look good, and that's basically. You can put more work into it, but it doesn't make them look any better.
Yeah, I see. It's looking really great now, though. And this character in general is so cool. He's kind of a change from the previous characters because he has some actual special equipment, which I like.
Yeah, I wanted to I like the Raiders. I've gone back and forth in terms of the style for the characters for a while, but I think what is actually going to stick is... there's a word to describe kind of cliched character design as reflexive, right? Like, what people want and just giving them exactly what they want. So like most video game concept art is 100% reflexive. That's why you get Space Marines that are bald and have, giant shoulder pads, because that's what people want to see. And it gets kind of boring. So for Overgrowth, I kind of overreacted, I think, to some of that, to some extent, and tried to make characters that didn't have a lot of these reflexive design elements, like, just a detail everywhere or big shoulder pads or whatever. And so I think this is a nice mix right in the middle, because without those cliches or the reflexive design elements, people don't get anything that they want. And they don't even understand what the character is supposed to be, or because they can't interpret the design language. So so you want to include elements that people can relate to. And this is an attempt to go half and half.
Yeah, I actually agree that I think it's actually very important to give people what they expect. Otherwise, as you said, they will feel kind of alienated. They won't understand the game.
Yeah, and they're just you introduce people to new ideas by taking old things that they like and then showing how those things relate to the things that you think are cool, so that there's some kind of context and connection between you and the viewer or the player.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that I'm settling back into a very concrete kind of approach to character design for Overgrowth, and I think it's going to be cool.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, and I guess that's the end of the show, man.
Great. Thanks for having me. It's totally awesome, and I love the show.
Yeah, thanks for being on and thanks for being interviewed by me. And thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week. Of course, if you can draw, if you can't draw still, post your anthropomorphic horses in the fan art watch in the fan art forum, and we'll take a look at that next week.
Thanks again, everyone.
See ya.